Good morning children and welcome to the class. This class is for class 7th, subject social science, chapter number 7 of geography, and the name of the chapter is human environment, settlement, transport and communication. As we have already covered the human environment in chapter number 1. So there in human environment we will be taking the topic settlement, transport and communication in this chapter, and it's going to be our lecture number 1 of chapter 7 geography. Now let's see the topics that we'll be covering today. Topics to be discussed: introduction of the chapter, number 2 settlement. Here we'll understand the meaning of settlement, types of settlement. The types of settlements, they are categorized in different ways. So we'll discuss all the ways there, all the types of settlement, and at last we will be taking homework on the basis of the topics covered in the lecture. So let's start with the first topic, introduction. Human environment refers to the artificial environment that is created by humans. Early human beings depended entirely on nature for food, clothing and shelter. But now they have developed different skills to grow food, build homes. So human beings have modified the environment. So if we talk about human environment, that is the artificial environment that is created by humans. The things those are made by the human beings, they come under the human environment. If we talk about the early time, when human beings they were entirely dependent on the nature for their food, for their clothes, shelter, everything. But now, as due to the different development there, the human beings, they have modified the environment according to the need. That's why now the skills, they are developed for growing food, for building home. So now under these things we will be covering the settlement. If we talk about the word settlement, what is this and what do we understand by the settlement? Settlements are the places where people build their homes, means the places for living. Settlements, basically in simple words we can say the places where people live. So settlements are the places where people build their homes and they settle down. The places where a settlement develops is called its site. Means wherever the settlements they are developed, they are known as the site. These settlements, where they develop, these are the sites, and they are dependent on some of the conditions. As any of the person, whenever they select the site for the settlement, definitely they choose some of the conditions, they select some of the conditions those are ideal for the site. Now let's see the conditions for selecting ideal sites for the settlement. First, favorable climate. Obviously whenever we are selecting any site for our settlement, we will see the climate of that particular place. That must be the climate that will be suited to us only. So that place we will select for our settlement. Number 2, availability of water. The water that is the initial part of our life. If the farmers are there, they require water for irrigation, for their own use, even in factories or in companies, everywhere, or for the daily use also the water is required. So availability of water that should be there. Number 3, suitable land. Land wherever we select our site for the settlement, suitable land should be there for the farming, or if the farmers are there for farming, if anyone who is doing whatever the job they are doing, for that the suitable land must be there near our settlement. Number 4, fertile soil. It's for especially for farmers. They really need the fertile soil for the agriculture. So these are some of the conditions that the people they select for their ideal site. And what is site? The place where a settlement develops, that is known as its site. So the meaning of settlement clear? Now, development of settlements means how it developed, or how did settlement flourish day by day. If we talk about the early time, early human beings lived on trees and caves. They were not having their settlements, they were permanent settlements of their own. Then as the time passes, when they started growing crops, they needed the permanent shelters. Obviously, as we have done in 6th standard, even in the history, that in the starting the people they were moving from one place to another. They were not having the permanent shelters. When they started, they learnt how to grow the crops. They started growing their own crops. In that condition, they needed the permanent shelters for taking care of their crops. So as the time passes, they started growing the crops. They needed the permanent shelters. For that, they built their permanent houses. Next, the settlements grew near the water sources due to the availability of water. If we see there in the history even, we can see that the different civilizations, they developed near the water sources. We can take example of Harappan civilization that was flourished near the Indus river. So it is Indus Valley civilization. We can take example of Mesopotamia. We can take example of the Nile Valley civilization that was also that developed there near the Nile river. So these are some of the examples in our history even, that people they started living they had their settlements near the water sources, and the reason was due to the availability of water. So this is all about the development of settlement from the past till now. The different developments they are coming there in the settlement. With the development of trade, commerce and manufacturing, human settlements they became larger. That we agree with that due to the trade and manufacturing, the human settlements they became larger. We can take example of Delhi. As we know that the capital city it is, and in the surrounding there are different other towns also, like other cities also, like Gurgaon, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, different cities are there, and day by day the area covering this city that is increasing as the trade, manufacturing, commerce, that everything they are increasing. The area of NCR we can say that is increasing day by day due to the trade and the manufacturing work that is developing. So this is all about the development of settlements, or we can say how did the settlement that flourish. The next topic is types of settlements. As I told you, there are different ways to classify the settlements. So first, or the main classification of settlement, that is permanent settlement and temporary settlement. By the names only we can identify permanent settlement, that permanently the people they are living in these settlements. Temporary, for the short time that is used. So let's discuss about the permanent and temporary settlements. Temporary settlements. Settlements which are occupied for a short time are called temporary settlement. means the settlement or the place that is occupied or where the people lived for the short period of time. They are known as the temporary settlement. People living in temporary settlements are involved in the activities like hunting, gathering, shifting cultivation, and transhumance. If we talk about hunting and gathering, definitely the people those are involved in these activities, they live in temporary settlement. Suppose the gathering was according to the season, they need the different plants from where they are gathering, and whenever the season they change, so definitely they move from that place to the places where the plants they have the fruits or different items that they gather. Shifting cultivation, in which the farmers they clear a patch of land and they grow the different crops there, and after some time when the fertility of that particular portion that decreases, then they shift themselves to the another land, and then they clear the another patch of land for the agriculture. That is known as shifting cultivation, in which they are shifting. Transhumance, that is the seasonal movements of the people, especially the people who rear the animals. According to the seasons, they move with their animals in the search of the pastures for the different farms for giving food to their animals. So the people those rear the animals, they move from one place to another, and that is known as the seasonal movement of those people, and the name given to that is transhumance. This is all. The people those are involved in these activities, they were using the temporary settlement, temporary type of houses. Next is permanent settlement. By the name we can understand the settlements those are permanently built, the people they live on the same place permanently, they are the permanent settlement. The type of settlement in which people build their homes to live in permanently, means here the forest or the caves or these things are not used. The permanent houses are built where the people live permanently. That is known as the permanent settlement. Next is types of settlements on the basis of livelihood. Livelihood, the earnings we can say. If we talk about the rural and urban areas, the people of rural and urban areas, they have different means of livelihood. So according to the livelihood, or on the basis of livelihood, the settlements they are classified in two ways, that rural settlement and urban settlement. Firstly, if we talk about rural settlement, rural settlements are found in villages. Rural means related to the villages. So the rural settlements obviously they are found in the villages. Number two, the villages are rural settlements engaged in the activities like agriculture, fishing, forestry, craft work, etc. Means the people living there in villages, they are mostly involved in the activities like agriculture, fishing, forestry, craft work. So these are the activities in which the people living in rural settlements or the people living there in villages, they are involved. Next is rural settlement can be compact or scattered. Now two more type of settlement we'll discuss here, compact settlement and scattered settlement. So here this is all about the rural settlement. What is the rural settlement and what type of the activities people do there in these settlements, and these settlements can be there in two types, compact or scattered. Now I'll discuss about compact settlement and scattered settlement. The first one, compact settlement. A compact settlement is closely built area of dwelling wherever flat land is available. Means the houses, they are closely built. The dense areas, we can say. Here the word dwelling means resident. So a compact settlement is closely built area of residence wherever the flat land is available. If you remember, we have already covered this thing there in 6th standard also, that the population, the flat areas, they are densely populated. The reasons also we have done, that the flat area, there the construction work can be done easily, the means of transport can be constructed easily, the land is fertile due to which the large population can live there. So in the flat land this is available, and how we define it? The compact settlement is closely built areas of dwelling, or closely built the area, the settlement you can say, or the houses, those are closely built. You can see there in the picture also. There the houses you can see, by looking there we can see that the houses, all the houses, they are just one on another. So they are densely populated basically. The next is scattered settlement. Scattered means फैला हुआ. So in scattered settlement, houses are few and far from each other. It is known as dispersed settlement also. Scattered when the houses, they are far from each other, means the few houses are there and all are far from each other. They are in scattered settlement. And the another name used for this scattered settlement, this is dispersed settlement. And this type of settlement basically found in hilly areas. Generally, such settlements are found in hilly tracts, thick forests, and regions of extreme climate. As I told you that the scattered settlement that can be found there in on the hills, thick forest, and the regions of extreme climate. Extreme climate means where the temperature is not moderate. Extreme is there, whether it is very high or very low. So in that extreme climate cases, these type of scattered settlements are found, because these areas, they are thinly populated, less number of people they are living. They are in these type of areas like hills, forests, and the areas of extreme climate. So there in these type of places, scattered settlement that is found, in which the houses are very far from each other and the few number of houses are there. So these two, scattered and compact settlement, they are found in the village areas. Urban settlement. An urban settlement is a concentrated settlement that is part of an urban area. As urban means related to cities or towns. It is an area with high density of human created structure. If we talk about human settlement, that can be the town or city. The town, that is the less number of people, or you can say less population is there, that is town. And where the large population is living, you can say large centered areas, large centered urban areas, they are cities. And less centered urban areas, they are known as towns. So these urban areas, these we can say the constructed settlement that is a part of an urban area. It is an area with a high density, means a large number of people they are living. People are engaged in manufacturing, trading and services in urban areas. As they are in rural areas, we talked that most of the people, they are engaged in agriculture, foresting, rearing of animal, and we have done the fishing there. Now here in urban settlement, the activities that people are doing or they are engaged in are manufacturing, trading and services. This is all about the urban settlement. Different types of houses according to environment. Now we can find the different type of houses in different climate or different type of environment. We'll discuss some of types of the houses here. Like number 1, in the regions of heavy rainfall, houses have slanting roofs so that the water that cannot be stored there on the roofs. And even these slanting roofs, they are found in the areas where the heavy snowfall is there. Number 2, places where water accumulates in the rainy season, the houses are constructed on a raised platform. Wherever the areas are with the heavy rainfall and the water that remains there at the time of rainy season, in that particular areas the stilt houses are found. And we can say in another word, the houses, they are constructed on a raised platform. That is the same stilt house. Those are built on the pillars above from the ground, wherever the water is filled on the ground due to the heavy rain. Number 3, thick mud walled houses with thatched roofs are found in hot climate. That is another one of the example. The houses according to the climate, they in the hot climate, wherever the hot climate like in desert, the houses, they are made up of the mud, and the mud that is used there, very thick walls they are having there in the houses, and the roofs that they are made up of thatch, or you can say the material of grass, so that they can keep their houses cool from inside. They can escape from the hot climate that is present outside. So these are some of types of houses according to the climate they are present. So we have covered in today's lecture about the settlement, the different types of settlements, and the activities done there in rural settlements, the people living there, and the activities those are done there in the urban settlement according to the areas. Now it's time for homework. Question number 1. What do you understand by the term settlement? Here you have to define what is settlement. Number 2, what are the activities practiced by the rural people? The activities the rural people or rural settlements they are involved in or they are engaged in, you have to write the names of those activities. Number 3, how did the settlements flourish? That you will write, means how did the settlement they developed. Number 4, explain the two types of settlements. Here you will explain the main two types of settlements, permanent and temporary settlements. Number 5, what are the compact and scattered settlements? There you will define these two, compact settlements and scattered settlements. So you will be doing these questions that are in your fair register. Thank you and have a nice day.